All right, fight fans, we are back with the Combatcast. Chevy Rooney, tell me what we got coming up. First, we do anything.
All right, February 11th, UFC 284, Makhachev versus Volkanovski, back to pay-per-view. We are very excited for that one. And then February 18th, we're going to the Apex for UFC Fight Night, Vera versus Sandhagen.
Another dope fight.
Yeah, that main event is absolutely fantastic. And then February 25th, UFC Fight Night, Krylov versus Span. That'll be at the Apex as well.
That will be a banger as well, just because of the styles of those two. They will definitely.
Yeah, and in that small cage at the Apex too. I'm excited for that one too. All right, let's start with the news today. So we'll get into our what's around the ring. So first thing I want to talk about, very excited and disappointed at the same time. My two favorite UFC featherweight fighters are going to be squaring off against each other. Max Holloway versus Arnold Allen is being targeted for UFC Fight Night on April 15th. What do you think about this matchup?
That's going to be a banger. It's actually really great matchmaking, other than the fact that it's two of our favorites. I mean, Arnold Allen has just looked fantastic in all his other fights. He's got a long win streak going right now. Max Holloway's the best of the best, though, with the exception of Volkanovski. I don't think anybody's looked like they can stop Max Holloway. Look at all his other performances. It's not even close. Like, Holloway is just light years better than everybody else that he's been in there with. You could argue guys like Yair and Ortega were always like kind of close and right there. But so far, like, Holloway's just been that guy with the exception of Volkanovski. So this is Arnold Allen's like toughest test. I mean, God, when Volkanovski going to fight Makhachev for the lightweight title, if I was him, I would hoping Volkanovski would have got a win, and I would have hoped they would have like maybe booked me with Emmett or somebody, maybe for the vacant. Not nothing against Emmett, but like this is like the toughest matchup to get with no championship like on the line.
Right, I think I agree with you. Very tough matchup for Arnold, but I think he's undefeated, right? And the confidence he must have, I'm sure he is not concerned about fighting Max Holloway. I'm sure he understands it's a difficult task, but I bet he's very confident that he can get the win. Maybe he thinks he's catching Max on the downturn of his career. He's been around for a long time, a lot of tough wars. The last two fights against the last fight against Volkanovski definitely did not look like he was on his best game. So maybe he had an off night. That's what I'm hoping for. I can't root against Max Holloway. I know I picked Arnold Allen to be my, fighter of the year or whatever. And this was a possible matchup, but I can't pick against Max Holloway. So
Vera Sandhagen too. I just bring that up because you'd mentioned that we're going to have a lot of like good, strong top contenders fighting each other in the next few weeks. And it's a very interesting time in the UFC and some of these lighter weight classes to see how some of these fights play out.
Right. All right, we'll move on to our next piece of news. Laura Sanko is making her UFC color commentary debut on Saturday.
Good for her. A knowledgeable person when it comes to MMA, passionate person when it comes to MMA. If you ever listen to her talk, she's fought before. She's done commentary before for Invicta. She's been a real I don't know, I don't want to overstate it by saying pioneer, but like she's been definitely a strong force in women's MMA, like behind the scenes and stuff.
She has great insight in her post-fight interviews when it came to, contender series and all that as well, too. She's definitely knowledgeable about the sport. It's nice to see her getting an opportunity.
Yeah, this is good. And I mean, it's great PR for the UFC, too. It's something probably, I don't want to say it's always great to put the most talented people in the most talented, in the best positions. But she's talented. So This is a great move.
Right, give her an opportunity for sure. Yeah, I agree. All right, let's talk a little bit about the upcoming.
Actually, I do have to say something because this has popped in my head and I'm curious. And this is maybe a little bit of the pessimistic side in me. Any coincidence, the timing of this after Dana hit his wife, that now we're putting women in a top position? I don't,
It's possible, but
she deserves it.
So. Yeah, I think it's been a long time coming, and I think it's overdue, really, at this point. Is it possible that, this was the straw that broke the camel's back to put it in there? Then, so be it. It's good for Laura Sanko. So, I mean, the UFC can take whatever, good publicity that they will come their way right now. So,
sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. We don't have to go into it too deeply, but another week of Power Slap League and a lot of outrage on the internet where outrage thrives, but I don't see it sticking around too much longer.
No, I think their audience actually grew a little bit this past week, believe it or not.
People are interested in.
I think all the negative talk actually gets people looking at it, but I just don't think it's got many legs. I just don't think it's I don't know. I think it kind of reminds me of back when there used to be like the Nashville Network or, like even Spike TV to a point. And it was just like there's very specific genre and UFC would have thrived on those situations too. But UFC had enough legs to be an actual sport where you had all this, these guys. I hate knocking the individuals so bad that are doing this, but they kind of just look like guys you would find tough guys at a bar, a tough man competition or something.
Right. Well, that's what people said about the UFC when it started too, but I agree with you. I just think that this is a step too far, like a line too far. The fact that we've talked about this before, the fact that they are not allowed to defend themselves makes it barbaric in a way that cage fighting isn't. So
yeah, absolutely.
One other piece of news we don't have on the list, but possible talks about Conor McGregor and Tony Ferguson as Ultimate Fighter coaches. What do you think about that? Would that bring you back to watching the show?
Maybe. I mean, it's talk about like two like giant personalities, right? It's gonna be hard for me to watch that show, honestly. But you never know. I mean, because they could definitely make some good TV with that. And a good fight to make would be Ferguson and McGregor because it would be a big payday fight, and at the same time, two guys that are on losing streaks that are getting up there in their career. This would probably be the fight to make, honestly.
Winnable fight for Conor, which obviously the UFC would want him to win. Yeah. Tony has become increasingly more hittable.
Right.
And he doesn't wear the damage quite as well as he used to. Still one of the toughest guys ever. But he does get hit. It also gives Conor time before the fight. Obviously, he's on a lot of juice right now.
I don't know what to expect with Conor anymore, honestly, too.
Right.
But yeah, so who knows?
In all aspects of life. Don't know.
From
him. Yeah. So, interesting. If it does happen, I probably won't watch it, but I'll watch all the Instagram and YouTube shorts that come through, like clips of the show for sure.
Absolutely.
Because there will be a lot of sound bites and whatnot from that.
They'll probably do the best ratings that show has done in a long time.
Oh, yeah. Well, bar's not set too high on that one. But yeah, I agree with you. All right, let's move on. We're going to talk a little bit about Bellator 290, which arguably might have the better fights of the weekend. So let's start from we're only going to talk about 3 fights. So the first fight we're going to talk about Sabah Hamasi versus local to us fighter Brennan Ward, friend of the show, Sean Shamrock's good friend, Brennan Ward.
Brennan Ward, I mean, this fucking dude, he loves to bang, he loves to hit hard. I think both these guys do, so it should be fireworks for sure. Of course, got to go with the local guy, so hopefully Brendan knocks him out. I have a feeling like this one might end early because the way these two fight. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna make picks, but I'll go with Ward. I'll go round 2. I'll say both these guys are tough enough to make it out of the first round, but because of their style, like somebody's getting finished.
Yeah, I agree with you. Ward had some issues, lost a few fights back in 2017. He took some time off and came back to Bellator in 2022 with 2 TKO wins. He looked great. So I'm going to go with him. Obviously, we're biased, but Hamasi's a tough guy. This should be a very exciting fight either way, but I think Brendan Ward gets it done. I'm going to agree with you, round 2 TKO.
Stylistically, it's a good fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And we won't talk too much about it, but undefeated Johnny Eblen is defending his middleweight belt, which he won off of Gegard Mousasi, versus Anatoly Tokov.
Yeah,
I don't know too much about Tokov. I don't know.
Yeah, Eblen looked so fantastic last time to do what he did to Mousasi. Unless Mousasi was just his night where he's just on the downcline, which we had never seen any indication before that. Right. If anything, Mousasi had improved at different points in his career. And Eblen, I think this guy's a star, like on the future, possibly. Again, to have, what is it, like 9-10 fights?
12. I think he's 12-0 now.
12-0 now. Yeah. So he was 11. Oh, so Jesus. So, going into this, then I'll keep the train rolling. Johnny Eblen gets it done. And definitely wonder where this guy's career is headed. Like, will he be in Bellator? Will he be UFC bound? Like, yeah.
Right. I agree. I would say Anatoly's advantage would be experience, but who has more experience than Gegard? Nobody. So the fact that Johnny Eblen was able to weather that, stay calm, and be maybe one of the best fighters of all time in Gegard Mousasi, definitely one of the most underrated. I think he's might be middleweight champ for a while. You never know with these younger guys when they don't have a lot of experience. You're not sure about their consistency, but if he can put on a performance like he did against Gegard, he's going to be very tough to beat.
No doubt. And I just want to add this in there too, because I was just thinking about it. Like, man, I don't remember if anybody's done this yet. I don't think they have. I'd love to see a guy like Eblen just go undefeated in Bellator and then maybe go to the PFL, win those tournaments a couple times, maybe fight Horizon, and then be undefeated and then fight in the UFC someday. Like, I'd like to see somebody kind of conquer the rest of them and then head to the UFC. Like, that would be very exciting. I don't know if that's what's going to happen with this guy, but yes.
I think if he keeps winning, he's going to be one of those faces of Bellator. Bellator is going to pay him very well and do everything they can to hold on to him, similar to what they did to Michael Chandler for many, many years. So yeah, it'll be tough. I don't see the draw for PFL because I assume, if he's not right now, soon he will be making enough money where, that $1 million prize won't be worth it. But that would be nice to see eventually someone trying to make the circuit, make the triad of belts. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then main event of this Bellator 290 card is Ryan Bader versus Fedor Emelianenko 2. This will be Fedor's final fight in MMA.
I remember a couple years ago, Fedor just looking really bad. And he came back and he started winning some fights, but he's obviously older. And Bader, these two have fought before. Bader clipped him and, won convincingly because of his speed advantage. But, Bader hasn't fought too much in a while. So you never really know. Like, I remember when Ortiz and Liddell fought not too long ago. Liddell had dominated Ortiz, most of their careers when they fought. It was undefeated against Ortiz. And then they were both older, but because Liddell aged worse than Ortiz stopped him, and Liddell did look horrible. So what I'm saying is you never really know. Like, my money says based off prior fights, this should be Ryan Bader. The speed and, should be enough to say. But you never know at this point in their career how bad, one of the other fighters might be aged in, and it's heavyweight, so you never know, if Bader could definitely catch him. That being said, I think the smart money on this one will be Ryan Bader. I'll say he uses wrestling and strikes to eventually get him down and stop him. TKO, round 2.
Yeah, I think Ryan is probably the smart pick for this for all the reasons that you said, but I think Fedor is a big moment fighter. And obviously last fight of his career. I can see him being one of the few guys that goes out with a win.
Yeah.
Just an absolute legend, arguably the best heavyweight fighter of all time, in some people's eyes. I don't see it that way, but he is up there with, excellent fighter for sure. Just a legend of the sport. So I think I'm going to lean towards him to get it done. I'll say he gets a KO. Let's say later in the fight. He's going to get taken down a few times. He has that great sambo, maybe threatens a few submissions, gets up, and then clips Ryan. I'll say round 4 TKO.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
All right, let's get into this UFC card. So this card's going to be main event time, 1 a.m. on Saturday, February 5th. This fight card was supposed to be in South Korea, but then Korean Zombie got hurt, so they moved the entire card back to Las Vegas, and they're making all these Korean fighters come fight in Vegas. But they have that time slot, so they're going to stick with that time slot for TV. So not too many exciting big name prelims, so we're just going to get right into the main event here. So a lot of tough names on this one, so you'll have to forgive me, guys. But Yusaku Kinoshita versus Adam Fugitt.
I'm glad you did that one. I almost called him Kinoshita, so glad I did not. All right, Kinoshita is 6-1, 4 KOs, 2 subs. Fugitt is 8-3, 4 KOs, 3 subs, 1 decision. I've seen Fugitt fight a few times. He's tough. Kinoshita coming off a win of a Contender Series before he got here too. I like his chances. Just some of the stuff I've seen and reading up about him. I'll go Kinoshita. I'll say he gets it done. I'll say KO, and just because it's been a popular pick from today, round 2.
Yeah, like you said, Kinoshita is making his UFC debut after the Contender Series. He got a TKO in his fight on the Contender Series. And Fugitt is looking to get his first UFC win after losing a TKO loss in his debut. So that makes him somewhat dangerous, because it's possible you lose 2 and you're out at that stage. But I think this will be a close fight. I'm going to go with Kinoshita by decision.
There we go.
All right, so let's move on to a fight I am very excited for. Doo-ho Choi, the Korean Superboy, versus Kyle Nelson.
Doo-ho Choi has been a fun fan favorite for a while. He's 14-4, 11 KOs, 1 sub, 2 decision. As you see, he loves to go for finishes. Now, what is interesting, though, he has lost 3 in a row to good competition, but 2016, 2018, 2019, I believe some of that was some military service he had to fulfill. Is that correct?
I think that's why he hasn't fought since 2019.
Right.
Yeah, mandatory military service in Korea, I believe.
Yeah, but that's a lot of inactivity in between fights.
But he is young too. He's a young guy.
So we'll see how that affects him, though. Kyle Nelson, 13-5, 5 KOs, 4 subs, 4 decisions. Lost 2 in a row, and he's 1-4 in the UFC. I feel like this is a fight for Doo-ho Choi to come back in. We're setting him up. I think he gets it done. I like Doo-ho Choi. I'm going to go round 1 KO.
Yeah. So one of those 3 losses that you were talking about, his 3 straight losses, was one of the most exciting fights of all time in 2016 against Cub Swanson. He lost a decision, but he had Cub hurt multiple times in that fight, and Cub had him hurt multiple times in that fight as well. That really could have gone either way. But two losses since then. I believe they're both TKO losses since then. Did that fight, wear on his chin? And if so, did that time off that he has had help that chin come back? As far as Kyle Nelson, I'm a little bit surprised he's still in the UFC. He's 1-4 in the UFC, so you're pretty lucky if you get to that point. If he loses this fight, he's for sure out. In the UFC, I agree with you, is probably setting Doo-ho Choi up for a win and, making it tough on Kyle Nelson. But with that being said, Kyle Nelson's pretty well-rounded. Doo-ho Choi does put himself in danger being a brawler, so he could get caught. I'm interested to see how much the Korean Superboy has evolved in his time away, and I think I'm going to go with him. I'm going to say that he's improved. He's going to be looking better than ever, and I'm going to say he gets a KO in round 2.
All right. Oh, shout out to Thomas Manzero too, who shouting us out in the
shout
comments.
out Thomas. Yeah.
All
right, we'll move on to the next fight. Marcin Tybura versus Blagoy Ivanov.
All right, Tybura, 23-7, 9 KOs, 6 subs, 8 decisions, and then Ivanov here, he's 19-4-1, 6 KOs, 6 subs, 7 decision. Ivanov, he's a former World Series of Fighting heavyweight champion, by the way, and he was also PFL heavyweight champion when they went over to PFL. He was also a runner-up in Bellator's Season 10 heavyweight tournament when Bellator used to do tournaments. This is a guy who's been around the block, is my point. He's had a lot of fight experience. Tybura, though, I think I don't know. I think maybe in the UFC, he's been a little more impressive to me out of the two. So I like Tybura. I'm going to say this is heavyweights. And you know what? I hate to say it. I don't think we're going to get the KO, though. I think these two have been around a little too long, and it might not be the most exciting, eye-pleasing fight. But I say Tybura. Actually, if it's going to go to decision, I think I'm going to go with Ivanov.
Yeah. So Blagoy lost a split decision to Black Beast in 2019. So I just think that that's insane that his chin can hold up to Black Beast for 3 rounds. The man also has been stabbed in the heart and survived. So he is the toughest of the tough for sure. I think skill-wise, Marcin is the better fighter. He's more well-rounded, but Blagoy just seems to find a way to win all the time. So I'm going to go with him. But I agree with you. I don't think we're going to get a finish. I think I see Blagoy winning by decision. A very close decision. I wouldn't be surprised if it went either way, but I'm going to say decision for Blagoy Ivanov.
So I think Thomas is looking for that early finish there. So I don't know if we're going to see it, though. I mean, we could, but I have a feeling like you're right. When you talk about being able to survive with the Black Beast, I think this might go to decision. So, but hey, what do we know, right? We're just
All right, let's move on. Da Un Chung versus Devin Clark.
All right. Da Un Chung is a name I'm not too familiar with, but he's 15-3-1, 11 KOs, 2 subs, 2 decisions. He's 4-1-1 in the UFC. So this guy has definitely got it done. Devin Clark is 13-7, 4 KOs, 1 subs, 8 decision. But Devin Clark has lost 3 out of his last 4 right now. I think this is another one where Jung is actually we're trying to set him up for success here. 11 KOs too. I like it. I like Jung. I think he's going to get it done. I think let's go back to round 2, and it's going to be a TKO. Yeah,
like you said, Devin's been on a bit of a slide other than his stellar KO of William Knight that he had last year. He always looks good in his fights, but he is susceptible to getting rocked. Once he gets touched, he's instantly in danger in all of his fights. And this is not a guy that you want to be matched up against in that scenario. So he's very tough and powerful. I like Jung KO round 1.
Round 1, okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, we're going to move on to our main event. Couple more heavyweights. This is a rebooked fight. Hopefully Derrick Lewis doesn't get a tummy ache this time. This will be Derrick Lewis versus Sergey Spivak.
Derrick Lewis has just been, unfortunately, not been able to rise to the occasion in his last several fights. But Lewis is 26-10 with one draw, I believe, in there. 21 KOs, one sub. I like to know who Derrick Lewis subbed. 4 decisions. He's got most knockouts in UFC history, most knockouts in heavyweight division. He's had like performance of the night 4 times, fight of the night 3 times. Spivak, though, 15-3, 7 KOs, 6 subs, 2 decisions, and he's won 5 out of his last 6. Derrick Lewis looks in phenomenal shape from the stuff I've seen coming into this. He is my sentimental favorite. I want to see that this is going to be the Lewis who takes this career seriously now, and he's going to be a different level. But until I see that, I will go off of what I know. And Spivak just looks like the more well-rounded fighter. So I like Spivak. And if we've seen anything, Lewis doesn't usually like to lose by decision. So he will probably get tired at some point and get KO'd. I'll say Derrick will be strong enough to last a little bit later, round 3.
Yeah, I agree with you. Spivak has the better skill set for sure. But is it possible that Derrick is taking his training more serious? We saw that picture where he looked quite a bit slimmer, more in shape. That could be a good omen for him going forward. But I think the real thing of this fight is, although Spivak is more well-rounded, I think fight IQ wise, he's gonna engage with Derrick striking. I think the path to victory for him is to just take him down, and obviously Derrick's gonna get back up because he's just so powerful. Just keep taking him down and wearing him out until he's tired, and then hit him a few times and he'll quit. That's usually the go-to code, but I don't think that's going to happen. I see Spivak, engaging with Derrick a little bit. He fancies himself a striker. I think he gets caught because it only takes one punch from Black Beast, and I think that punch is going to land. I'm going to say round 2 KO for Black Beast.
Oh, wow. Okay. So Chevy's picking up. I'm going to agree with Thomas in the comments here. He says, I trust Spivak on this one. He's got so many tools, and Lewis just has the KO power in his opinion. I'm going to also say my buddy Pete, who's known for picking with his heart and picks a little wild, did pick Derrick Lewis in round 1. He also told me to be spinning back fist. I've never seen Derrick Lewis throw a spinning back fist in my life.
More likely to be some spinning kick because he's throwing those, but yeah.
So Pete's pick of the week is Derrick Lewis spinning back fist round 1. We will not see that probably, but
I don't know about that one, Pete.
Yeah, but Thomas, I'm going to agree with you. I think that is the safe bet. I think Spivak does just have too many tools here, like we said. But Chevy, you're right. And Lewis always has that KO power. And what kind of Derrick Lewis will we see show up? That will be interesting when all is said and done. But I say the safe bet is on Spivak.
I hope Derrick wins, and I hope that Lorosenko is the one that does the in-cage post-fight interviews, because I think that would be entertaining. So
yeah, those two could be money together for sure. Yeah. All right, let's round it up. Tell people we got coming up one more time.
All right, February 11th, we'll be previewing UFC 284 Makhachev versus Volkanovski. Then we'll be moving on to February 18th, UFC Fight Night, Vera versus Sandhagen. Very excited for that main event. And then the end of the month, February 25th, UFC Fight Night, Krylov versus Spann.
Awesome. And Thomas, good luck with your bets, sir.
Yeah,
and
good luck, always,
Thomas. Thanks to Thomas and everybody tuning in today. We appreciate you, and we will see you next week.